Thank you. Welcome to everybody. Good morning to most of you, and good afternoon to probably some of you. Welcome to this webinar of the LDT4SSC, the Local Digital Twins for Smart and Sustainable Communities projects. The webinar will be recorded. This recording can be used or may be used for internal documentation, for sharing with all of you, the participants, and for dissemination activities. So if you're here and you don't want to be featured in the recording, you should now switch your camera off. If you have questions, please post your questions in the chat. They will be followed up in real time, and we will also have some time for Q&As. Next slide, please. The agenda of this webinar, there are two parts. In the first part, we will give you more information about the LDT4SSC projects, and also we are very happy to give you more information about the launch of the first open call of this project in Work Strand 1. There will be explanations and information on funding structure, the application process, eligibility criteria, and also the requirements for the pilots. In part B, we are focusing on the matchmaking platform, the help desk, and there will also be time as set for the Q&A session. Next slide, please. My name is Karel Philippe Koenegrachts. I represent Open and Agile Smart Cities and Communities, and we are the coordinator of this project, as you can see on this slide. We are a consortium of 10 partners, 10 organizations from the research world, the public sector, and also the private sector, as you can see on this slide. And several of the partners of this project will take the floor during this information session. Next slide, please. So what is LDT4SSC? And we do like the acronyms, don't we, in European projects? LDT, Local Digital Twins for Smart, Sustainable Communities. That's what this acronym stands for. And it's a project that was successful in bidding for a Digital Europe program call that focused on networked local digital twins in the EU. We started the project on the 1st of June of this year, and we allocated a lot of time over the summer to create the documentation and also the background information for this first open call. The digital twin call has as main objective to consolidate existing results of already ongoing or already finished projects and move towards an ecosystem of mature local digital twin-based infrastructures and services across the EU to help cities and communities to achieve economies of scale to access and deploy data platform and local digital twin-based services. A lot of words, but the main focus is, of course, on capitalizing on all the hard work that has been done already in several cities, regions, municipalities, metropolitan areas across the European Union, and advance the work on local digital twins further to create an ecosystem and to replicate and scale the already existing solutions. The project in itself received a grant of 20 million euros from the European Commission. Part of it is dedicated to setting up the open call, supporting the resulting pilots, and most of the budget is allocated to the financial support to the pilots themselves. It's Digital Europe program project, which means that 50% co-funding is required from the pilots, but more details will be given further on in the presentation. There are three main objectives. It's all about connecting, further developing, and complementing. Connecting already existing local digital twins that are in place in cities and communities to create an EU-level federation of local digital twins. This is the first objective. Second objective is focusing on the development of new local digital twin or local digital twin services that are based on specific use cases in the cities and cities and communities, with a requirement that there is already some work done on creating a local data platform or local digital twin, and the ambition to expand those data platforms and local digital twins with new real-life use cases. The third objective is focusing on the LDT toolbox and complementing that LDT toolbox that is fully under development at this moment, with additional complex AI-based and innovative services or services that can be branded as Cityverse services that are making use of immersive technologies such as AR, VR, and XR. Next slide, please. This is an overview. I'm not going to go into detail, just to position this project in the ecosystem of smart communities network, smart communities focused projects that have started in 2021 already. So as you heard, the main objective of this call was to capitalize on the results of other projects. This is an overview of those other projects, including the local digital twin toolbox, but also the support services of that local digital twin toolbox, making use of the Living in EU movement, and also of the assets of that Living in the EU movement, such as Lodimas and the MIMS Plus. Also making use of the Common European Data Space for Smart Communities and the blueprint that has been developed in that strand of the work and is being deployed through pilots. And also linking up to, for instance, the AI testing and experimentation facilities that are established in the sitcom.ai projects and other related projects. And there's also a strong connection, as I said, in the third objective with the developing Cityverse projects, Excite, Sense, 3D Experts, and CU. And what is important also to know is that all those projects will deliver their results to be exploited and to be scaled further to the LDT Cityverse EDIC. And an EDIC that stands for an European Digital Infrastructure Consortium. This is a legal entity that is established in Valencia in Spain, and that will make use of all the assets of the projects to effectively scale them throughout the European Union. If you have questions about this slide, we are, of course, more than happy to answer them. Next slide, please. Going back to LDT4SSC, we are working with three different work strands that are translating the three general objectives into concrete actions. The first work strand is implementing the connecting objective and is focusing on the technical interconnection of existing local digital twins. And this is also the main topic of this info session, so I'm not going to go into detail. The detail will be given in the next presentations. The second work strand focuses on the creation of new local digital twins based on new use cases. And the open calls for this work strand, there are two, will be launched in February 26 and in June 26. The third work strand, the new AI-based services and Cityverse services, will also be launched through two open calls, also launched in February 26 and June 26. But as said, now I'm happy to hand over to Laura to give more information on the open call for the first work strand.
My name is Laura Galante, and I'm also part of the LDT4SSC consortium. And we will be providing you with a bit of
You muted, Laura.
Sorry, I thought this was unmuted. So my name is Laura. I'm also part of the LDT4SSC consortium. Thank you very much, Carl Philip, for this first introduction. We are going to give you a little bit more of an in-depth overview of the first work strand, which has just launched now on the 14th of November. And so because we also want to understand a little bit who is in the room, we warmly invite you now to join our Menti poll just to understand a little bit where you are from and sort of what sort of representatives we have in the room to get an idea about who is it who be interested in applying, and of course later it will be useful to understand also for consortium formation who the stakeholders here would be. So maybe I'll pass back to Sarah again for sharing the results of this poll, and then we will delve right into the information.
Thank you. So let's give it a few minutes so that just you have the QR code here. You can scan it and then you can insert the Menti code that you see here on the slide to answer to the questions. And then I will share the results with you. Let's give it some time so that we actually.
I think you have to activate the questions. I don't know if it's active on everyone's screen.
It should be when you scan. You should be able, yes, to answer. Then I start seeing the results. Okay, I will share the screen in a bit.
Yeah, thanks.
Just give it a few minutes. Okay, let me share the screen with you. Okay. Sorry, we'll just move this. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, it's nice to see already quite a few, a lot of different representatives from different countries already. We see quite a few from Belgium, France, Germany, as well as Switzerland, Spain. Yeah, there's quite a few of you. I also see an association of cities. So nice to also have associations present here today. Kind of gives an overview of the more, let's say, overarching representation from other countries, of course.
You can also move to the next question if you want. So.
Yeah, so that's all right. Okay, great, thanks. Yep. So just a question on sort of what kind of stakeholder do you represent here today? Whether you are a local, regional, or public administration, a business or tech developer, an NGO, or academia. So it's nice to see already quite a few from local, regional, or national public administrations here today. And of course, yes, other organizations coming from other parts of the quadruple helix. This is really great to already see because, of course, when it comes to the formation of consortia for the first work strand, this kind of cooperation across all of these stakeholders is very, very much welcome. So it's great to see. I think from 35 or so results, this is great to see.
If you want, I can give the floor back to you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so indeed, it's great to see already quite a bit of diversity across all these different stakeholders from all these different groups. So Yeah, great. I will then go back to sharing the screen to present more on the call. So we are going to then discuss a little bit on the first strand, so the open call on interconnecting local digital twins. And as we have just seen from the introduction, this is the work strand that is really about the interconnection of existing local digital twins. And it is dedicated to connecting and federating local digital twins across cities and communities in order to create a unified, interoperable, and reusable ecosystem of European local digital twins. So in doing so, the idea is to really focus on collaboration across cities and across regions as well, in order and also to enable this sort of cross-sector and cross-border shared data service. So this is really, these are the elements that we will be looking out for in the applications that we will receive. And so the idea is really here to break down different silos in order to scale up these EU-wide data sets, and also to be able to onboard less advanced communities into the local digital twin network. So here, the goal is really to enhance decision-making, particularly in European EU policies, such as mobility, energy efficiency, or environmental policies, as well as reducing redundancies and fostering a collaborative data economy. So that we can reach this kind of interconnected digital infrastructure that will support Europe's green and digital ambitions. So, for example, through real-world use cases, such as, for example, cross-border traffic management or multi-city resource optimization, it is expected that the first work strand can transform fragmented local initiatives into a replicable, scalable, and reusable federation of local digital twins. And later in this presentation, my colleagues will go in depth about what these sort of more technical aspects will entail. So these are the targets of the first work strand. So ideally, like I said, what we look in a pilot is really this aspect of connecting local digital twins that are already in place. So we're really looking for cities who are, let's say, in the process of developing a local digital twin, who have already developed it and who are looking to scale it up and to connect it to others. So creating an interoperable EU federation of local digital twins, fostering a unified data ecosystem that enhances decision-making, ultimately also connecting public authorities that are willing to share data, models, and services with other data platforms, and supporting seamless data exchange and integration as well. This is a very important aspect. And lastly, the idea is to foster the development of skills amongst all the pilot members. So those we will discuss later as well, what this what the members of a consortium should be, what the consortium should be made of which members, such as, for example, companies as well, offering the technical solutions for better interconnection and a better maturity of components and documentations. So these are all aspects that really constitute this particular work strand. So what is the timeline? So the pilot's call has been launched on the 14th of November, and we've already published all the documentation on the website, through which you can find the relevant documents to apply and all the information for submitting it. The deadline is the 15th of January next year at 23:59 CET, after which we will take time from within the consortium to select the relevant pilots, and with the aim to have the start of pilots beginning on the 14th of May. So this will include the pilots that have been ranked according to specific evaluation criteria and agreed on to start. And then, of course, the pilots are envisioned to last between 12 and 18 months. So this indicative end of the pilot's date is what is envisioned as part of the process of the pilot development. So this is really for now the most important date to keep in mind at the moment. So now I'm going to hand over to my colleague Elisa, who will give you an overview of how the funding structure works and the financial support mechanisms.
Hello, everybody. I'm Elisa. I hope you can hear me. So thank you, Laura. Indeed, for what concern the funding structure, as Carl Philip said, the total EU funding available for the pilot activities at project level is 17 million, with which we aim to fund at least 15 to 20 consortia. The funding is distributed across 3 work strands, but today we focus on work strand 1 as the first call is already out. And for this work strand, we have at least 5.1 million that will be allocated to different pilots. And as already mentioned by the other colleagues, this is a co-funding model, which means that the project is covering up to 50%, while the applicant has to cover at least 50% of the cost. If we can go to the next slide, please. There are a few key requirements, actually limitations. So for instance, each consortium can have a maximum grant of 1 million, while each third party can get a maximum grant across pilots, across work strands of 500,000. The eligible cost comprises different categories, so personnel, subcontracting, purchase costs, which means like travel costs, for instance, or other goods and services. And there is also an eligible indirect cost at a flat rate of 7% of the direct cost. For walk-ons, these eligible costs follow also the regulation of the EU in general for EU grants. And if you go and look into the manual, you will find a way more detailed information regarding these eligible costs into details. And also you will find a link to the AMGA of the EU grants where you can find even more detailed information. And all the eligible costs must be actually incurred and during the pilot period, of course, and also in compliance with the regulation of the applicable regulation. Next slide, please. For what concern the criteria for the eligibility criteria in terms of like who can apply, the participation indeed is open but not limited to different kind of stakeholders, as you can see from this slide. So local, regional, national authorities, the ethics, businesses and tech developers, research institutions, academia, NGOs, non-profit, and so on. And there are also some criteria regarding the consortium composition. If we can go to next slide. Yeah, indeed. So I saw that it was already in one of the questions in the chat. Indeed, there is a criteria for the consortium composition, which is that there must be at least 2 local or regional authorities from 2 different eligible countries, and then 1 additional partner from the categories, indeed, like private entities, trusted third party, or a private representative and private association. For what concern the eligible countries, the eligible countries are EU countries, Norway, Liechtenstein, and Iceland, and then the DAP associated countries. If you go into the manual, you will find also the link to the document of DC where you can see the full list. We provided here a bit of a table, a map, where you can identify already whether your country or a country you would like to collaborate with is among these. And it is important also to mention that during the application, the participants, if we can go back to the previous slide, but during the application in that the participants, with the exception of the public bodies, they will need to provide a self-assessment on the ownership declaration. But then if awarded, you will have to provide a full ownership control declaration. So this is also something that might be taken into consideration when applying. And I think that I will leave now the floor to my colleagues from CEREMA. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I'll use to share the screen for this one then. Thanks, Elisa.
So, are you seeing my screen? Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for joining this morning. Over the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'll be presenting with my colleague Marine Legal from CEREMA. I'm Laura Rioux. The key requirements, recommendations, and expectations for the pilot applicants of the first work strand in this first open call of the LDT4SSC project. So the purpose of this presentation is very practical. It's for the potential applicants to understand what is mandatory and what is recommended so that you can prepare your applications accordingly.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you everyone for this short presentation. So basically here we are going to present the requirements and recommendations in this part. But first of all, the rationale behind those requirements. So meaning why we actually decided the purpose of those. So basically, pilot projects should and must deliver interoperable, replicable, and sustainable solutions. So everything that we did all throughout the consortium member organization has been to help pilots in delivering and integrating their projects into the European ecosystem, which is, as we've said before, currently under development, whose goal is to regroup the initiatives being GaiaX, Simple, all under the EDIC umbrella, as we've said before. So if you want to understand why these requirements matter, basically meeting those is highly important because it will enable eligibility and raise the chances of selection. Indeed, if you are to actually get further into detail as to the process of application, well, there will be first and foremost an eligibility check, which will be a yes/no process where people within our team will be able to quantitatively understand and verify that everything that's been asked of the pilot members, of the pilots, has been fulfilled. So answering the application form, presenting and giving to the LDT4SSC members the correct documentations and stuff. And then there will come a qualitative assessment by a committee, which will be based on several steps, being excellence, impact, and stuff, and then a negotiation period. So if you want to know more about these requirements on top of the presentation that we are today doing, you can find these requirements on several platforms. The first one being, of course, the call for pilot's manual for the Work Strand 1. You have here a screenshot of what it will look like, what it should look like. So it will be in chapter 2.8 precisely. And then you can find more information as well on the Knowledge Hub. So just as an FYI, the Knowledge Hub has been shared on the chat as well. And we know that these requirements may look like and feel like a handful at some point. But this is also why we have designed ourselves as the consortium of LDT4SSC, have created technical and non-technical resources that will be shared to you and to pilots, so that it kind of helps further into ensure for us as a consortium that this money and this investment from the European Commission actually works, that the projects actually work, but at the same time that you as a pilot applying will not get completely lost in the sea of all the opportunities that exist nowadays.
So yeah, thank you, Marine, for sharing this introductory information about the requirements and how they link with the resources from the projects as well as the evaluation process. I'm going to dive a bit deeper into the requirements and recommendations and the thematic areas they cover. So we have organized in the pilot manual the requirements and recommendation across 4 dimensions that you can see here: pilot details, relevance, implementation, and impact. Pilot details is essentially administrative and technical requirements around the pilot and its current state. There are requirements about digital maturity, the use cases, the current technical and functional architectures of the LDTs in place, the current data governance in each of the pilot members, as well as the pilot management and staffing. Relevance is why the pilot matters. How does the use cases align with the local and EU priorities? There are requirements about political endorsement, the engagement of end users and stakeholders during the pilot implementation, as well as transferability and replication potential across EU communities post-pilot, and the use of EU infrastructure and technology providers. The third dimension is about implementation and outlines how the pilot will be delivered. There are requirements about the methodology followed, how will the interconnection be made technically, as well as the way pilot members will commonly describe data to manage technically this interconnection, as well as the engagements with the MIMPLOS. Last but not least, the fourth dimension is about impact, so those are recommendations and requirements about the expected results and long-term value brought by the pilot. So there are requirements about the reasoning for this technical interconnection, the tangible benefits, both environmentally and socio-economically. The contractual framework that enables this sharing between members and further, as well as description of the expected outputs and the openness of these, and the scaling post-pilot. Now that this global overview is given, I want to go further into a few requirements. So there are 3 slides on this. All requirements are mandatory, but some are part of a first eligibility check, so they are called eligibility criteria. This first one is about digital maturity, but all requirements are mandatory. So I saw there was a question in the chat about this. Digital maturity is defined in the context of this project by having a local digital twin in place that already provides digital and data services within the community. That includes dynamic data, and that has descriptive capabilities, which means that it informs about the current state of the real-world assets. I'm happy to answer questions about this in the Q&A section later. The second requirement that is also an eligibility criteria I wanted to share with you today is about the use cases. Pilots will have to implement 2 cross-sectorial use cases, each featuring shared services So to really demonstrate this cross-sectorial, there are two ways of doing so, or including data from different sectors, such as mobility or energy, or providing services to different sectors. And now I'm going to highlight 6 requirements that I deemed important, but again, there are 24 in total. So the first one is the requirement 8. It's about for pilots to address the European priorities and the objectives of the LDT4SSC projects. The use cases have to align with the European Green Deal, the new European BOSS priorities, or the key challenges targeted by the project, such as climate change, energy efficiency, mobility, or air and water quality. There is a list, of course, of these in the manual, which is the primary source of information for this. The next requirement is about actively engaging end users, and at least 3 of the 4 quadruple helix stakeholder groups. Laura has already talked a bit of this. So the 4 groups are the public sector, the private sector and industry, academia, and finally civil society. And stakeholders aren't pilot members. They're just individuals, organizations, or groups that have an interest or are affected or concerned or influenced in a way or another the project. And these have to be included, and especially end users, which is a type of stakeholders and that directly use, benefit, or are impacted by the services delivered by the LDTs or the interconnection of LDTs. The requirement number 14 is about integrating the Simple Data Space Governance Authority agent. So Simple is a smart middleware that is designed to federate data, software, and infrastructure in the European Union. It has a software stack called Simple Open, and this agent is part of it. The requirement 16 is also to be aligned with the EU LDT ecosystem and is about mapping all data collected and shared within the pilot to a late data ontology such as NGSILD or SparkQL. The requirement 22 requires pilots to include contractual frameworks into their activities, and this is to guarantee the sustainability of the LDT post-pilot. And finally, for this selection of requirement, the requirement 23 is about the results and how these will be shared. For the data models, they have to be shared openly in open repositories, and services should be shared through the LDT Toolbox Marketplace, which is a European project that is currently undergo. And you must note that the inclusion of proprietary components must be justified and accompanied by a plan demonstrating how an equivalent solution can be achieved with open source technologies. So now I am done with this deep dive into requirements. And again, you will find all the information necessary in the pilot manual, and you can reach out during the Q&A or later through the help desk if you have further questions about these requirements. And again, these aren't thought about constraints for pilots, but it rather safeguards that the pilot activities go in the right direction. They are built thanks to the expertise of the members of the consortium, and to foster replicable and interoperable LDTs in a European ecosystem.
Thank you, Laura. I will just finish this part of the presentation with helping you understand how to demonstrate the compliance with these requirements, so how it's supposed to work in practice. As you can see on the screen on the right-hand side here, you have a screenshot of an application form. So it will consist of a question, and this is the template for you to fill out. And all of them will be related. So all of these questions from the application form will be related to requirements. So this will be related to the eligibility check that we mentioned before, the yes/no that will be done by your team via objective selection criteria. So it's very important for you to answer them correctly. Then there will be pilot deliverables and reports as well during the project that will have to be submitted by the pilots. So this will also, again, be described in the call for manual for the Work Strand 1. But just so you have an idea, basically, the pilot deliverables, there will be 5 of them, which is the smaller table that you see on the right-hand side as well. These are the kind of pilot deliverables that will be expected of you so that they're standardized and it's easier for us and for you to complete them with concrete questions and ideas about what and how you should fill them out. And then you will also have to fill in reports, being both technical and financial reports. First ones being at the middle of the project duration and also at the end of the project duration. So that will be it. And of course, the compliance with these requirements conditions the final payment. So thank you for this part, and I give the floor now to the rest of my colleagues.
Yeah, so thanks a lot, Marine and Laura. So I'm gonna probably just after this information, just gonna give a quick recap of the eligibility criteria. So this, as you may remember, this is the criteria that will be assessed first and foremost through, let's say, a first assessment on pass or fail, and then to be sent for the applications to be assessed through quality evaluation criteria. So this is the first eligibility check. So we look, of course, for general, legal, financial, and of course the technical, non-technical criteria that have just been described, and also finally an ethical aspect. So the general, of course, means that all the required documents and ownership have been submitted in the right format, in English and on time. The proposal has been submitted through the open call template. And of course, also respecting the character limitations. The legal, of course, we will look for the consortium formation, and that it fulfills the following categories of different kinds of stakeholders. So indeed, from 2 different eligible countries, we look for local or regional public administrations, together with at least 1 additional partner from the following list. And then, of course, as Elisa mentioned, on the financial aspect, it needs to be clearly demonstrated that the pilot consortium covers 50% of the, at least 50% of the pilot budget. And the support request is not higher than €1 million per consortium, and that the support requested is not more than €500,000 per third party across pilots. So this is the first aspects. We've already touched upon the technical and non-technical, and you can find them as well in this table in the call for manual for pilots manual. And then, of course, there is an ethical component, which is an ethics and data protection self-assessment, which should be completed and submitted together with the application. So this is a bit of the overview on the criteria. And already we have seen a lot of questions, so thank you so much for asking questions in the chat. We will also have some time during the Q&A to answer any other questions. And so this has been, let's say, a part, the aspect on the Work Strand 1. And following this presentation, we will go in depth about how to form consortia or how to look for other partners if you have not found one yet, or if you're looking for an additional partner to join your consortium. So if you can please join Menti for this next part, and then I will give the floor back to Sarah to explain the last section of this presentation.
Thank you, Laura. Now I will wait a bit before sharing my screen so we have some answers. Same as before, you can scan the code and then insert the code that you see here on the screen. Let me see if we already have some answers. The question in this case is if you are currently part of a consortium for the LDT4SSC Work Strand 1 project.
I still see the starting screen, Sarah. Can you activate the question? I don't know if this is the case for everyone.
Let me see. I'm trying to check if I can already see the results.
Yes, now I see the question.
Yes,
thank you.
Perfect. Okay.
So yeah, for this next part, just as a bit of an introduction to this, the idea is really to understand if you are already part of a consortium, if you're looking to join another consortium, in this room as well. It's of course interesting to see, and we are happy to provide you with the key resources to sort of fulfill this next part. And to understand where some of those needs lie.
I will share my screen so we can start seeing the results. Oh. Let's close.
So indeed, it's very interesting that there is most of you who are still exploring. Nice, and congrats to the one who already is part of a consortium. And we see already that some are willing to join existing consortia. So this is a great opportunity to do so. And of course, for most who are still exploring, perhaps this will give you a bit more of an idea. I think you can go to the next one, Sarah.
Well, in this case, we only have this one question from my side. So I can move with the presentation. Let me just share my screen. By the way, I shared in the chat already the link to the matchmaking platform, which I will now present so that you can directly go there and have a look. Okay. So now I will briefly introduce the matchmaking platform and the ways in which you can reach out to us. So the LDT4SSC matchmaking platform is a tool that has been designed to support you build strong proposals for Work Strand 1, and then we will see together what you can do on this platform. So first of all, you will be able to present yourself, your organization. You can create your own profile in which you can explain, for example, what you are looking for in a consortia. You can add more information about your expertises and your assets. Then you can also find potential partners, as we were saying, so cities, regions, SMEs, research organizations, NGOs, and so on. And an interesting thing is that you can identify specific partners. Then I will show you how to do it. You can browse through the list and you can find them via their organization or directly looking at the members that signed up to the matchmaking platform. And of course, this is due to create or join consortium proposals for Work Strand 1, so interconnecting existing local digital twins. And we will see that you will be able to create opportunities or join already existing ones. And you are also able to organize meetings with people that have registered to the matchmaking platform. So you have the link in the chat, and now I will briefly go through the registration process, which is very simple. Once you click on the link, this page will open and you can just click on register now. Okay, to create your account, of course, you will have to insert your email address, first name or last name. Another option is also to sign up using LinkedIn or Google. And then you can proceed by clicking on continue. Then here you can select register as, so we have multiple options: public administrations, national, regional, local, technology providers, SMEs and industry, research organizations and academia, citizens, and civil society organizations. So here you can actually complete your profile. So you can upload a profile image if you want. You can insert your job position and introduce yourself a bit in this speech section. You can add the country and the city, your phone number, which will only be visible to the event organizer, and add more about your personal details, your skills and interest, and then also your LinkedIn profile in case you want to share it. And then we have this last section in which we have additional information, so you can answer to these two questions. Do you have experience in the development of LDTs? Yes or no? And here in the second question, you can give a more complete answer. So what type of challenges are you facing in the development or deployment of LDTs? So I will now show you how it looks like when we log in into the matchmaking platform. So this is how you see the platform once you are logged in as a user. We have different tabs. So homepage, which is the one that you are seeing now. Here there are some information about the project. So for example, the impact for Europe. And then you can see the number of registered participants, the meetings that have been booked, the countries from which the participants that registered are from, and our three key goals. So smarter services with AI, connected digital twins, and sustainable digital futures. Now let me show you this other section. So about strands and calls. Here there is a description of the work strands or categories and the open calls and topics. So strand 1, which is open until 15 January 2026, interconnecting existing local digital twins. Then we will have strand 2, creating new LDTs based on common needs with the 2 open calls. And strand 3, so developing advanced AI services with 2 open calls. Moving forward, you can see here the frequently asked questions about the strands and calls. And this is also a very useful part where you can find a tutorial to understand how you can organize a meeting with someone, which then I will also show you more in details. Here you can browse and apply for strands and calls, so just by clicking on these buttons, and book meetings. Then we have, so just a second, let me move this so you can see better. Okay, the participants section, in which you will see the other people that already registered in the platform. And in this case, what you can do is by clicking on the plus, you will be able to request a meeting. So for example, you can add meeting partners, the meeting description. You can send the meeting description as a private message. So we also have this option. And what you can do is also browse through the organizations. So you can read more information about the organizations of the people that registered to the platform. Then we have this other section. In this one, you can find the opportunities that have been already published by the people that joined the matchmaking platform. And in case you are interested in any of this, what you can do, as I showed you before, by clicking on the plus, you can request a meeting. And also in this case, you will have to fill out these details. So another option is you can also create your own opportunities. So by clicking on manage opportunities and then add an opportunity, you can create this kind of thing. So you will have to insert a title, short description, full description, and then you can select if you want it to be shown on the organization page. So the opportunity will also be visible on your organization page under the Marketplace tab. Here you can select these options, so the project stage, you can select the topic, we have various options, data interoperability, data exchange and integration, so on and so forth. The type of cooperation sought, and you can add images, files, and videos. So once you are done, you just create the opportunity and it will appear in this section that I was showing you before. Then we have, of course, the Help Center with the frequently asked questions, how it works, and the ways to contact us. So let me just go back to the presentation. So here in this slide, we have just added a few links that can be useful, and then I will share them also in the chat. If you want to sign up to the newsletter, visit our website and follow our LinkedIn profile. And in case there is any questions, you can email us at the email address that you see here, so the info@LDT4SSC.eu, and then the questions will be addressed by the specific partners that can give you the most detailed answer.
Maybe something to add is when you ask a question to the info help desk, those questions may be most likely published as well in the frequently asked questions to create fair opportunities for information. So indeed, this will be a good opportunity to get some clarification, and this clarification will then be made available to everyone who applies.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, so now we just have the Q&A session. If you want, I can stop sharing, so you can go back to your screen sharing, and I will send. Okay, thank you. You already sent it here in the chat. So the links to sign up to the newsletter, for the website, and for LinkedIn.
Yeah, indeed. So thanks a lot, and I hope that we hope this presentation was useful. We have already seen a lot of questions in the chat, which have already also been tackled by some of our colleagues. So it's really nice to see a lot of interest and willingness to get additional clarifications. But yes, of course, feel free to raise your hand as well, and we can answer any questions that you may have as well at the moment. I don't know if Sarah, you can present everyone's view, because right now I only see your screen, as in your video.
Do you want me to share the screen again on the slide for the Q&A? I can.
Yeah, or just present the view with everyone in the room if possible. So
that one, I think you can do it. It's okay for your own screen. Yeah, because I see everyone. Okay. Because I wanted to take a look at the chat if there was something that wasn't already answered to. Let me see. Yeah, actually, there was this question. I had just replied saying that it would be addressed during the Q&A, which was, what's the definition of existing LDT, especially in contrast to thematic databases and GIS applications? So this was
indeed. I think Marine and Laura, you had already touched upon this, but feel free to clarify.
Yes, I covered this in the section on requirements. There is more precise information in the manual, of course, which is the main source of information again. So there are different maturity levels for LDTs and different frameworks for these maturities and definition. It's on this topic. In the scope of the project, it was decided that the LDT must have descriptive capabilities, meaning it informs on the current state of the assets, and it's like a bi-directional relationship between both changes on one end impacts the twin, and changes on the twin impact the real world assets. There must be dynamic data integration, and that is the definition for an LDT. The way pilots will demonstrate it, as Marine explained, is through the application form, and there are several questions about this to go deeper into like the technical architecture, the functional architectures. So helping us to understand what's your current digital maturity with diagrams and screenshots and descriptions, which will help us evaluate if the LDT is sufficiently digitally mature to take part into the project, so that in the time frame of the project of 18 months, you can manage interconnection. I hope this answers the question. Feel free to ask more precise questions if needed.
Yeah, thank you.
I also saw this other question, but then Carl Philippe replied, so I'm not sure if there's anything to add on this, but it was just how many SMEs can participate in the same consortium.
Yeah, maybe Elisa, do you want to clarify on this?
Sure. Yeah, Carl Philippe already addressed it in the chat. Indeed, the requirements that we mentioned about the consortia formation, it's only about the two local or regional authorities plus the third party. But then the rest, there is no limit. There is nothing on the rest of the composition of the consortium. Of course, as Carl Philippe said, as long as the budget allows it, that's fine. But indeed, the criteria mentioned in the presentation, it's only that about the two local or regional plus the third entity.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay, moving forward, there was this also, this question, is there a definition of an LDT? So what exactly can be considered as a local digital twin? It can be very ambiguous.
We have already addressed it through Laura's discussion earlier on. And yeah, that can also be, as mentioned, demonstrated in the application form. And there will be more, let's say, there are additional, let's say, parameters for this there.
Okay, these were all the questions that I saw were not directly answered in the chat. So if there's anything else, feel free to ask.
Yeah, indeed. Perhaps it's also worth mentioning that we will be holding a stakeholder forum as well on the 3rd of December, which will also be another opportunity to connect with other stakeholders and getting to know a little bit as well, some examples as well. Maybe not sure if Marine, you would like to bring this up.
Stakeholder forum?
Yeah.
Not really.
No, but okay, it's basically because I saw you were also you were nodding as well, so I thought you might want to add something here. But in any case, we will share with you the registration link to this, there'll be more information here. So of course, if right now you're still thinking about applying or thinking of other questions at the moment, or still, let's say, digesting all the information that we've provided, this is a good opportunity also apply. And then, of course,
Yes.
we'll answer questions.
What we can highlight as well about the stakeholder forum is that this project builds on a lot of opportunities, as we've mentioned, including the DS4SSC project that has been financed by the European Commission as well as the Cascade funding. And so the stakeholder forum is also a dual kind of stakeholder forum, being both that of the DS4SSC and the LDT4SSC, so that it also provides an opportunity for people wondering about the details of what a data space is to kind of connect and further understand these differences and differentialities between those.
Yeah, and of course, also all the slides that we have shared with you today, we will also share with you, because of course they do have also all the links to all the resources, which still everything eventually leads back to the website in any case, but the slides will provide, of course, more clarity. So they will definitely also be shared.
There's a new question in the chat about the pilot methodology.
Yes. So you mentioned seeing this in the knowledge hub. So the knowledge hub presents the requirements in a cheat sheet version. The full requirements are detailed in the call for pilot manual. So I would recommend having a look at that for further information. So in the application form, it is asked to provide a work plan that shows the methodology taken to implement the project. It should cover certain activities like making sure data governance is properly managed, and other activities which are related to pilot deliverables. There is more information on this. And also we will be sharing resources, technical and non-technical, prior to the launch of the pilot projects and during these, to help be compliant with these requirements, and especially methodological resources, workshops, and so on.
Yes, just to build on what Laura just said, and as we've mentioned also before in the webinar, we have compiled kind of a non-exhaustive but quite big enough resources basically about what an LDT is and what it brings to territories, for example. So all of these will be available on the Knowledge Hub, but we have also compiled methodologies that have been shown to work for territories when it comes to implementing LDTs, local digital twins. So you will, of course, have the choice to choose your methodology from all of those that we provide, or if you're used to using your own methodology as well, it will have to be clarified in the application form, as Laura just mentioned, but you will not be left all alone in this sea of information. And we have these methodologies and these several steps, and also prepared several workshops that you can do amongst yourselves, so that you ensure that you're on the right track to making your project very successful.
Yeah, thank you. Perhaps we can wait a couple more minutes to see if there is any interest, and if not, then we can slowly close the call.
Actually, this is not about questions, but I wanted to say I saw many people registering already to the matchmaking platform, so that's good.
Yeah, that's really it's nice to see as well, indeed. And of course, if you are still, let's say, navigating these kinds of spaces, and you're looking to join a consortium or to form one, don't hesitate to make that need also quite clear on the platform. So if you are looking for something that will address the specific challenge that you find at the moment, whether that is specific consortium partner or additional technical providers, or you're looking for another city with which to join in order to interconnect, or you're looking for a particular city as well, and you think that that will complement your application and your case study, this is really the place to do so on the matchmaking platform. And the clear and assess whether it's a possibility for collaboration.
And we will also hold those kind of webinars for the rest of the project duration, also being not only for the Work Strand 1, but we are currently working on the Work Strand 2 and Work Strand 3 about the implementation of AI and these different subjects. So basically stay connected. And if this work strand is not for you per se as of right now, just stay connected and stay within the community. The opportunities on the matchmaking platforms are not yet available for the other work strands, but they will be. So just as an FYI about everything. There's another question on the chat about a bit of a clarification on the co-funding. So they say, I guess it's covered by the guidelines, usually the use of other EU resources, such as the ERDF, which is not so straightforward. So maybe Elisa, you can kind of pick up on this question.
So I'm not really sure I fully understood the question, but there is indeed there is a rule when we say that it should comply also with applicable regulation. That also, of course, includes the double ceiling rules that there is for the EU grants. So of course, like if so I'm not sure if that answered the question. Maybe Carl Philip also can complement if he understood better.
I did understand, and this is a very simple question with a very complicated response. To be honest, we will have to align with European Commission itself, the financial services, in case you want to use synergy grants as co-financing, because there's still an ongoing discussion within the financial and legal services of the European Commission how exactly to use this synergy funding to avoid double financing. There is an option. The box has been ticked for this project to use synergy grants, but the exact format in which to do so will have to be discussed with the European Commission. So in case that you are preparing an application for a pilot for this project, please let us know as soon as possible if you want to use synergy grants as co-funding. We will have to align with the European Commission at this stage. So there's no very clear response that we can offer, but European Commission and especially the unit that is launching and following up this action has promised to support as much as possible. I'm sorry, that's all I can say for the time being. So please let us know if you think about using synergy grants and also, well, such as ERDF funding.
Any last questions? This is the final chance. Then I think we can slowly close the meeting. Yeah, it's really nice to have seen a lot of interest and participation on your side. And we very, very much look forward to the next few months and weeks, let's see. And of course, as mentioned, please feel free to get in touch via the email address, and for any questions that you may have. And good luck. Thank you.